what is memory management, how the memory leaks, and how to allocate the memory, and how to release the memory management. I will give the example for that. So let's start. So how the memory management works. So according to the memory management work means, I mean when we are creating a object, so it will be create the memory management. When we will release the from object from that, so it will be memory release from the object. So I will give the how the memory management works means, memory management works on the based on the object. I mean it returns the count value. So when we create the object, so it will be create the value. So once the return count becomes a zero means we are removing from the object memory management. So once it becomes the zero in the memory count, the object we are removing the object from the memory management. So again I will say that how the memory management works means, memory management works based on the object and it returns the count value. So once the return counts the object becomes a zero, the object will be removed from memory. So what is return count? I mean what is return count means, when we are creating a object from the memory management, the count will be increased by 1. So again I will say what is return count of the newly created object means, when we are creating a object in the memory management, so it will be count will be increased by the 1. So next question, how to clean the object in memory. So how to clean object memory means, by removing the object from the memory management, it will be becomes the object by 0. So I will say it. So object we can remove from the memory, it will be reducing the return count of the object will becomes to the 0 by calling of releasing message on topic of object. So either else setting the nil from the object of the memory. So what is release? Release is a method which instant or immediately decrease the return count by the object by 1. So when the object return counts becomes 0, the object is removed from the memory. So what is release mean? Release is a method which instantly or immediately we decreasing by the return count by object 1. So when the object return counts becomes a 0, that object is removed from the memory. So what is auto release means? Auto release is the method for decrement or increment for that anything. So auto release is a method which decrement the return count by object by 1 is in some point of time in future. So we can say that auto release is a delayed by release from the object. So the object which can be auto released or added to auto release pool main. So I can say what is auto release means, we are decrementing the return count of the object by 1 in sometime in futures. So we can release by releasing of the object. So what is auto release pool mean? Auto release pool means part of RAM memory. So where we are released the object or stored in the auto release. So what is auto release pool? Auto release pool is some part of RAM memory. So where auto released objects are stored. So when auto released objects are released, so at a runtime the system checks the auto release pool is specific time interval with runtime system find any unused object. So where suppose if we are calling the one method, so we are not using that method, so it is unnecessary we are using that object, no. So that message, it will calls the message to those the topics or like those the objects that are unused So object will be released immediately. So auto release mean unnecessary objects will be removed immediately. So next question, when should we use the auto release pool? Means whenever you are not whenever you are not sure, when you are working is going on to be finished with your object sorry, using the auto release makes the object retain until you need it. So when a method retaining a newly created object. So when should we use the auto release pool means when you are not using, like when our work is finished with you in your object, so we want to release that object immediately. So that, so suppose of example I created a one example. So example like id, create a new object equal to id is the identity for new object means we are allocating the object for that class alloc init means we are allocating the memory for it. So unnecessary we are not using that new object, so we have to release from that object by using the return. So what is return, when to use it? So return is a method for increment the return count by the object. So that, so what is return means, a return is a method which increment the return count by the object. So example, use a return when you are sharing the objects of ownership with the another object, like parent and child relationship with that. So by example I am showing that basic calculator of a is a class. Basic calculator is a class, and we are creating an object like a calculator, and we are allocating the memory for the calculator class. So basic calculator alloc init is we are allocating the memory. So here we are allocating and we are returning the count by the method object. So basic calculator into B calculator equal to A calculator return is the method for returning. So what is return means? A return is a method for which increment the return count by the object. So what is copy? When we use it, so copy is a method like we create a new copy for of the object and set the return count by 1. So when newly copied the object. So what is copy mean? A copy is a method for creating a new copy of the object and set the return count by 1. So the newly copied object type. Use a copy when you are sharing the objects like ownership with other object. So what is memory leaks means? A memory leak is a situation like when operating system is failed to release unused the objects. So that is the memory leak. What is memory leaks means? A memory leak means when we are operating a system fails to release unused objects memory. So what is property and how do you declare the property means? Property are those the ways to generate the accessory methods by using the accessory methods like at the rate of syntax is the property for the declaration. What is ARC means? Automatic reference count. ARC means automatic reference count. It is managing the object memory. Like auto reference counting means is a compiler features that providing automatic memory management for the object to see like object. Rather than having a think about the return and the release operators in the memory management like ARC. ARC allows us a concrete, interesting the code, the object graph, and the relationship between the objects. In our applications. So what is property attributes like? Property attributes like specific to compiler the kind of accessories method. So what is property attributes means? Property attributes are specific to compiler that kind of accessory methods to be generated, like read only, read write method is there, assign, weak, strong, copy, atomic and non-atomic, etc. and getter method. What are the default properties attributes? When we are creating a default property for any attributes, like it will be default, like assign or read write or atomic, it will be default properties for that. So what is difference between atomic and non-atomic? So mainly atomic is a default property, default default behavior for any property, but it is a for non-atomic it is a not a default for the property. So for the atomic, only one purpose, like thread can be access the variable at a given point in time, but non-atomics, multiple process can be accessed the process the variable at the same point at the same time. So atomic, it is non-fast, but it is a it is the process to complete entirely. It will be complete them. But non-atomic, it is a faster and multiple process can be access the property at a same point. But atomic, it is, but in atomic, results are accurate, but in non-atomic results are unexpected. So I can say atomic and non-atomic means, like atomic it is a default behavior for any property. So but non-atomic means it is a default behavior, not a default behavior of the property. So it can be in atomic that thread can be access the variable at a given point, but non-atomic multiple operators can be multiple process can be access the variable at the same time. But now atomic means it is not fast, but it be process be completely executed, entirely execute, but it is faster. It will be multiple process can be access the property. So the result will be accurate in the atomic, but in non-atomic it is unexpected. So next, strong and weak. So I am created one example for that. Fruit is a class. A is object. We are allocating the fruit. Allocating a memory for that fruit class. So fruit allocate is we are allocating the memory, but fruit and B object. A of A object. Return is equal to, it is a strong. For fruit of B of A equal to, it is a weak reference. So example, difference between the weak and strong. According to the strong means, it will be increments the return count of an object, but in weak does not increment the return count of the object. But according to the strong, we are modifying the content of A by B reflecting the two objects, but modifying the content of A by B is reflect the two objects. So according to the strong, releasing the one object by just decrement the return count by 1, and it will be keep the object. But according to the weak, releasing the object from decrement by return count by 1 and removing the object from memory. According to the strong, it will be keep the object until. So according to the weak, it will be removed from the memory. So according to the strong, object A and B contain the return count 2, but objects A and B return count by 1. We are removing from the memory. Next point, assign and weak. So mainly they will be asked the interview questions like assign and weak means. Assign is used only for primitive data types, but weak it is used for the reference types and object. Okay, assign is a simply assign the value to instance variable. So according to the weak, it is simply assign the object to the instant variable. That's only. So according to the assign, releasing the instant variable removed to the actual object, but weak releasing the object keeps nil at the object place. So it is a prevent the crashes report for the weak reference type. So the retain and strong, what is the difference? Strong is a new object for retain in ARC. So what is zombie object means? Zombie object means it is return the count is 0. It is called as zombie object. Like I mean calling a method on zombie object leads to crash. So what happens when calling the method on nil? I mean nothing happens when you are calling the method on top of nil methods. So what is the output for the below statements? Like I mean, so class A of object, I mean class A allocate init auto release and auto release. So it is, I mean auto release we are calling the multiple times, but it does not reflect on the app execution time. So it will be remove the memory management, so memory leakages and remaining. So that's we are using the auto release for that. So I will today we have discussed about the about the memory management, and previous we have discussed like I mean hoops concepts like I mean inheritance, data encapsulation, polymorphism, object, class, syntax, and everything. So previously we had discussed like I mean class, object encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance, and massive passive as we have the method calling functionality we have discussed previously, and today we have discussed about the memory management. It has been completed. So next section we are going to discuss about like I mean session we are discussing about like I mean code data like I mean next we are going to the like I was topics like I mean UI table view to collection view, delegate methods, and what is the delegate methods and remaining thing, and we are giving the p list and everything. Before the starting for the session we are giving the like I mean UI elements like label, buttons, slider and so on, so for that. So thanks for giving this opportunity.